Picture the most advanced artificial intelligence you can imagine. What does it look like? I'm willing to bet it has a face. Maybe eyes that glow. Maybe a voice that sounds almost human. Maybe it walks or sits across a table from you, or looks at you with something that feels like curiosity. I'm willing to bet it looks like us. And that right there, that instinct, that image that just appeared in your head, that is the assumption I want to spend the next 10 minutes taking apart. Because it may be the most consequential and least examined belief of our entire generation. Welcome to the latest Mango Report, AI edition. And by the end of this video, I think you're going to see something you can't unsee. Let's go back to 1950. A British mathematician named Alan Turing is sitting with a problem that is going to define how humanity thinks about machine intelligence for the next 75 years. The problem is simple to state and almost impossible to answer. How do you know if a machine is truly intelligent? And Turing's answer, which became the famous Turing Test, was essentially this: if a machine can hold a conversation with a human being, well enough that the human can't tell the difference, then for all practical purposes, we should consider it intelligent. Now, that is a brilliant thought experiment. Genuinely, Turing was decades ahead of his time. But notice what's buried inside that test. Notice the assumption it makes without ever stating it. To be considered intelligent, a machine must be able to convince a human. Not solve problems. Not optimize systems. Not discover patterns in data that no human could ever find. It must convince a human. In conversation. In our language. On our terms. We built the very definition of machine intelligence around our own face. And Turing wasn't alone. Every major vision of artificial intelligence that followed, from science fiction to Silicon Valley boardrooms, has carried that same assumption forward. HAL 9000 speaks in complete sentences and expresses fear before it dies. The Terminator has a human skeleton under the machine. Even the robots in Westworld are built specifically to pass as human. That's the whole point of the park. We have been imagining AI in our image for so long that most of us have never stopped to ask, why? Why does intelligence need to look like us? Why does it need to speak like us? Why does it need to feel like us? What if it doesn't? What nature already proved. Before we built a single microchip, nature had already run this experiment. Billions of years of evolution had already answered the question. And the answer was not what we assumed. Take the octopus. The octopus is one of the most studied examples of non-human intelligence on the planet. It can solve complex puzzles. It can open jars. It can recognize individual human faces. It can plan, deceive, and adapt to completely novel situations in real time. But here's what makes it extraordinary from a scientific standpoint: the octopus does not have a centralized brain the way we do. About 2/3 of its neurons are not in its head, they are distributed through its 8 arms. Each arm is capable of semi-autonomous problem solving. The arm literally thinks for itself. Intelligence, real, functional, tested by survival intelligence. Distributed across a body with no central command. Or consider the crow. Crows manufacture tools. They drop nuts onto roads to let cars crack them open, then wait for the traffic light to change before retrieving them safely. They remember human faces for years, and they pass that knowledge, that person is dangerous, to their offspring. No language. No hands. No neocortex like ours. Just intelligence, doing what intelligence does, solving problems. And then there's something even more remarkable. Beneath the forests, and I mean literally, beneath our feet right now, there are networks of mycorrhizal fungi that connect the root systems of trees across miles. These networks transmit chemical and electrical signals. Trees share nutrients through them. They warn each other about insect attacks. They nurture their young. Scientists have started calling it the Wood Wide Web. Now, is that intelligence? Probably not in the way we usually mean it. But it is information processing. It is coordination. It is a system responding to its environment in sophisticated ways that benefit the whole. My point is not that trees are smart. My point is that nature found 1,000 different ways to solve the problem of surviving in a complex world, and exactly 0 of them needed to look like a human being. Intelligence in the natural world is not a single thing. It is a family of capabilities. And our version, the human version, with our language and our emotion, and our self-awareness, is just one member of that family. We are not the definition. We are an example. The Turing trap and what it cost us. So if nature already proved that intelligence doesn't need our anatomy, why did we spend 75 years building AI as if it does? Part of the answer is practical. Early AI researchers needed a benchmark. You can't build towards something you can't define. So they defined it in terms they could measure: human conversation, human reasoning, human-style logic. But part of the answer is something more primal. Something more human. We are deeply, instinctively uncomfortable with things we cannot relate to. We personify everything. We give names to hurricanes. We apologize to furniture we bump into. We feel bad throwing away a robot vacuum that has a face sticker on it. We are wired for relationship, for recognition, for mirror. And so we built AI in our image, not just because it was practical, but because we needed to be able to see ourselves in it. To know it. To judge it. To fear it or love it on our own terms. The Turing test was never really about machines. It was about us and our need to remain the standard. And here is what that cost us. It meant that for decades, the benchmark for AI success was: can it fool a human? Can it mimic us? Can it pass? While we were asking that question, we almost entirely missed a different kind of AI that was quietly becoming extraordinarily powerful. An artificial intelligence that was never trying to fool anyone. An artificial intelligence that had no interest in passing as human. An artificial intelligence that was just, relentlessly, efficiently, solving problems. And right now, today, that artificial intelligence is inside the company you work for. It's reading contracts, processing claims, scoring resumes, routing your customer service call, flagging transactions for fraud, optimizing ad spend, predicting equipment failures before they happen. It does not have a face. It does not have a name. It does not ask for anything. It just works. The real question. Here's where I want to be honest with you, because this is the Mango Report, and we don't do comfortable half-truths here. The fact that AI doesn't need to be human to be powerful, that's actually a hopeful realization in some ways. It means we can stop waiting for machines to become conscious before we take them seriously. It means we can have the right conversations now, while they still matter. But it also means we have been asking the wrong questions. And when you ask the wrong questions, you build the wrong guardrails. We have spent years debating: can AI feel pain? Does it have rights? Will it fall in love? Should we treat it like a person? These are fascinating philosophical questions. And someday they may matter enormously. But right now, today, the AI that is reshaping the global economy does not feel anything. And it doesn't need for it to change your industry, your job, your city's tax base, your country's labor market. The question is not can it feel? The question is who benefits when it acts, and who gets left behind? Not, does it have a soul? But, does it have accountability? Not, is it conscious? But, is it just? Those are the questions that are being answered right now. Not in philosophy departments. In boardrooms. In government procurement contracts. In the choices of a few thousand engineers and executives who are deciding, without a public mandate, how intelligence without anatomy will be woven into the fabric of civilization. And most people, most of us, are still arguing about whether the chatbot sounds too human. We were warned about the wrong monster. Over the next 5 episodes of the series, we are going to go deep on each of these threads. Next week, episode 2, we're going to look at what nature's experiments with non-human intelligence can actually teach us about where AI is heading, the octopus, the crow, the forest, and why the most important AI researchers in the world are taking these examples very seriously. After that, we are going to get into what the enterprise world has figured out quietly, without press releases, about intelligence that doesn't feel anything, and why that is one of the most significant economic shifts of our lifetime. I want to be honest about what this series is. It is not a doom series. It's not a hype series. It is an attempt to think clearly about something that most people are thinking about through the wrong lens. Because how you frame a problem determines what solutions you can see. And right now, most of the public framing of artificial intelligence is built around the assumption that we made in 1950, that the endpoint of machine intelligence is a human being. I think that assumption is wrong. And I think it matters that we figure that out now, while the architecture is still being built. If this landed for you, if something in the last 10 minutes shifted even slightly, the best thing you can do is subscribe and share this with one person who you think is smart enough to wrestle with it. That is how this kind of conversation spreads. I'm the Mango Report, AI Edition. I'll see you next week.